Well, welcome to my review of the HGP601 from Banggood. That is a TRX6 6-wheel drive crawler. This is also a 6-wheel drive crawler. That yours for around about $650. Doesn't include a battery or charger with it. This yours for around about $160. Does include the battery and the charger. So maybe that's caught people's interest. Well, yours truly bought this with his very own money, and I've had to wait for about 2 weeks for it to come from China, from the Banggood warehouse. When it is in stock at the US warehouse, you can wait as little as 3 or 4 days to get this, but $160, quite happy to wait for it to come. Now the TRX6 has a 2-speed transmission, automatically adjustable from the transmitter. When I start reading through the spec on this one and looking at it online, this has also got a high and a low gearbox, and as an optional extra you can fit an extra servo on here so that you can switch between high and low gear on this remotely as well. So yours truly has put the bits for that on order, and a few more upgrades besides that I'll talk about as we open the box. Now they actually refer to this as being extendable to an 8x8 or a 10x10 because you can keep adding axles on to the back of the car to extend it. Obviously you might have a few issues with the body at that point, but nonetheless it can be done. Now there is one thing about this truck though, guys. On the back of the box there, you could be fooled into thinking it's got rear wheel steer, because on the back of the box there it mentions you can do independent front steering, front and rear steering at the same time, all 4 wheels together, etc, etc, etc. So you're thinking, oh, it's maybe already got the servo fitted on it, but when you read the box it says that these options can be realised with upgrading. So don't look at this on the box and think, oh great, it's alright, it comes with rear wheel steer included. It doesn't, but I did note that, went online, looked, and I've already got the parts on order to convert this to rear wheel steer. Anyway, let's get this open, see if this $160 compares to that $650. There's a link to this car below the video if you like it, by the way, guys. And if this is any good, we might get a plank to test it out on the incline test. Well, the box did take a little bit of a beating on the way here, but bearing in mind the distance this has come, this is not too bad at all. Well, I'm thinking it's comparable in size to the TRX6, and we'll put them side by side on the bench in a minute to have a look. And are very, very similar indeed, but this was actually launched before the TRX6 was. So what do we get for $160? Well, we get something that looks suspiciously similar to the Traxxas TRX6. A little bit of self-assembly required to do. Comes with a wheel to go on the back, so let's get that on. And some stickers in here, so let me put its clothes on. Let's see what it looks like. In here we've got this transmitter and the battery and charger. Anyway, just before I show you what the body looks like with the stickers on, what else have we got? Mini toolkit included in here. A couple of spare gears in there, so I'll need to read the instruction manual on that. We've got preloaded spaces for the shocks, instruction manual on there. It's a big sheet of stickers come with it. Battery and charger included. Slightly disappointment that wasn't a US based charger on there, but no big issue as it's got a Dean's connector and a balance lead on there. 2S 1500 milliamp light power transmitter. What have we got? 4 batteries in the bottom, throttle, brake, reverse, steering on there, steering trim on there. This is nice. Low gear, high gear. Now that doesn't work without the optional servo being fitted to the car. But as I say, I've gone and put the parts on order, so that will then give this car the same 2-speed transmission ability as that one's got. Now what have we got on there? Steering reverse and throttle reverse. Transmitter is fairly lightweight plastic, but should be sturdy enough for the job. Anyway, let me show you the car. Or should I say the cars. I thought that would be a good way to show them side by side. They are pretty much the same length, I think, on there. The differences you will notice on there is the tyres on this are probably about a centimetre higher than on the HGP601. These are 2.2 rims. These look larger than 2.2 rims, but the wheels is a fairly easy, but changing the wheels on a crawler is going to be a fairly easy job. There appear to be 12mm hexes on here, so it's not going to be too bad. I've put all the stickers on, but let me get the camera now and show you have a closer look around the body. It's not to the same quality of the Traxxas, but you have to bear in mind this is just about a quarter of the price. Well, this is obviously a generic copy. This was out first. But just check out the front. There's the front of the Traxxas one. You can see the money is there in the Traxxas in the scale detail of it. A lot more solidly built body. The body on this is quite a bit lighter. In fact, the whole truck is considerably lighter than the TRX6, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. but very, very similar looking to my mind. And the lights, this you can buy an LED light kit for the HGP601, whereas the Traxxas has already got the LED lights fitted in there, but very, very similar. Traxxas TRX6 is obviously very different at the back. This roll cage appears to be far more sturdy than the one on this car does, but that is maybe something the aftermarket could sort out for you. But overall, not bad at all from the outside for $160. So let's take a look inside. Just remember guys, if you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe. Well, time for the big reveal. Let's get the body off, see what we've got under here. Okay, there we have it, 1 6-wheel drive crawler. Nice simplistic layout on here, but then the TRX6 is under the skin. Biggest visual difference on this compared to the TRX6, you've got none of the mudguards on this thing that the TRX6 has. Now, this chassis seems to flex a bit on here. It's plastic. Looks like it's metal, but it's not, it's plastic. However, I did look at all the upgrades for it, and I've already got metal chassis rails for the full length of the car and the cross braces, etc. on order. Very, very cheap, the upgrade parts for this car, people. Anyway, let me get the camera down. Let's have a look from end to end. So in the front, you've got a decent sized impact bumper. Not that you're really worried about that on a rock crawler. And a steering servo tucked away at the front there. I'm sure that is something that will be an easy upgrade. Now moving on back from the servo, I thought first of all this was a waterproof receiver box. Quite sure what is located in there, but this is in actual fact a combined ESC and receiver, because the steering servo wire goes into there. Brushed motor. Now it's got Dean's connector and it comes with a 2S LiPo. The TRX6 will take up to a 3S LiPo, but I will need to read the spec on this to see what this will handle. Nice easy access for changing the gearing. And you're wondering what I'm talking about. 2-speed gearbox, can't see that, Rich. You'll see, anyway, zooming in here, you see this little lever that can be switched between high and low gear on the car, and you can get a servo that mounts on the end with a little bracket that comes across, so you can control that from the transmit from the button on the transmitter I just showed you. So this $160-odd car will have a 2-speed transmission, pretty much the same as this, that can be remotely controlled from the transmitter. A battery tray. Now you've not got any possibility at the minute of mounting a little battery pack at the front as you have on the TRX6, but this thing is carrying a lot less weight overall. Moving on back, anyway, moving on back down. Back, decent sized bumper on there. Quite a bit of flex in these. I would think that would put up with a fairly decent knock on there. Now the one thing you could obviously upgrade is these shocks, but that would be a relatively cheap upgrade to do, and it's something I may well do as part of the work on this car. And virtually everything on here, or nearly everything on here, you can upgrade with metal parts on here. A little side steps on there. As you see, quite a bit of flex in there. You can see the chassis actually flexing as much as anything else on there, but that's not necessarily a bad thing to give itself a little bit of suspension on there. That tail tread pattern actually looks to be reasonably decent, and I mentioned on the outside of the box they say it can be 6x6 or 8x8 or even 10x10. That's because these little plates here, you can add another whole assembly on to the back of the car, so you can make it progressively bigger. The only problem you're going to have is obviously that body is only going to stretch to the back of the car, and that battery tray with its sliding mount there is going to give a decent sized pack in there. Actually, I'm thinking you'll be able to fit 4,000, possibly 5,000 milliamp pack in there. Anyway, let's turn it over and try and have a better look at what it comes with. Out at the back here you can see the drive shaft poking out of there. I believe there's a little cover you can get to cover those up. Moving on back, all plastic at this price point, but as I say, 160 bucks versus 649 leaves you with a lot of spare change in order to do some upgrades on it, which is exactly what I've got planned. I've already started ordering stuff for this, got quite a bit on the way, and since I've been shooting this video tonight I've already put another couple of bits on order. Anyway, let me know what you think, guys. So when it comes to that suspension, how much travel have we got in there? Lift that front wheel until the rear just begins to come off. We're about 3 inches before the middle axle comes off the ground until the rear one comes off the ground. probably about 4.5 inches on there. Quite well sprung as opposed to well damped. I think the shock absorbers are definitely going to be one of my first upgrades to the car. Articulation out of the back again. Lift that until the very front wheel wants to lift. And probably about 4.5–5 inches of travel on the back again. It'll be the same thing. Guess on that. Yep, springs and shocks definitely going to be one of the first things to change on this car. Well, the battery's all charged up, so time to take the HGP601 out for a quick trail around the yard. I shall be putting it up against the TRX6 head-to-head in a future video.
The first thing that it's going to need upgrading is the steering servo, as it could be quite a bit stronger, and maybe need to modify that bumper, but no big issue on that because the approach angle is not as big as the Traxxas, but once it is up and over the top of stuff, whereas the Traxxas might climb over that, we shall see. So yeah, the first thing being I'm going to change the steering servo, but as I say, no big issue on there because it's got a 5-wire servo as opposed to a 3-wire on some of these cheaper cars. Decent turn of speed. That's it flat out in the low speed. Do need to manually change the gear at the minute until a new servo arrives for changing it. Now, it's not going to be able to get up this, whereas the Traxxas could do because of the approach angle on this. The tyres are smaller on this, so it's not as high off the ground. So I can't see it getting up this any way, shape or form. No, we're buttoned straight up against there. But in its stock out of box form for light trail use, I would say it's not going to be bad at all, but definitely going to improve that steering servo. Tyres are pretty good actually, but the steering is getting pulled around a bit. But the motor seems to have plenty of torque in it, which is good. So it's a brisk walking pace after the thing. Now, from side tilling, it's not got a lot of weight in that body at all, nowhere near as much as the Traxxas has in that. So it's not going to be too bad at all going along at an angle. As I said, the steering is the thing that's letting it down there at the minute. Okay, now to get on over the loose lonely stuff, which has defeated many a vehicle in this garden. Well, that is not doing bad at all up there. 160 bucks versus 650, which leaves you, if you spent $200 on mods on it, you're going to be left with something that is pretty darn decent. Yep, so definitely needs a bit of work to get that front a little bit higher on that and the approach angle, but it has potential for sure. And it can actually, on the incline test, it has proved itself to have the legs on the TRX6. I have to say, I'm quite looking forward to doing a few mods to this because I think it has got a little huge amount of potential. Yes, it's got the deficiency that it's not got the approach angle that Traxxas TRX6 has, but the torque in the motor is good. The grip from the tyres is pretty darn good. It will need me to change the shocks. This is all when it was then coming over the route, so I could see it getting kicked around like hell on there. But again, that's quite a fairly cheap and easy mod. Fitting a stronger servo, mine for about 18 bucks off of Amazon. So I'm going to go inside and get those on order right now. But if you like the looks of this truck and you want to follow my series of modifications to this, then don't forget to subscribe, and there's a link to this truck below the video if you want one, as I think literally about a quarter of the price of the Traxxas is definitely going to be worthwhile considering if you're wanting a 6x6, and particularly one there are a lot of mods out there already available for.
Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video, and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.